we're actually going to be looking more at the water that's in our lives, the water from our tap, the water in water bottles, the water that touches us, actually. So, and we're going to start with Laura as a member of our committee. She's going to just give us a framework to talk about water today. Some ideas that we can use as we're talking about.
I think of human rights, I first think of what people need to sustain life. And that would be healthy food, clean water, and clean air. Adds other rights, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The UN defines the access to water and sanitation as one of the human. The public trust became common law by the Supreme Court in 1892. As a notion of this public trust, consider roads and waterways. They're reserved for general public and business to ensure equal access to transportation and commerce. The commons is a term that identifies the public trust asset, the common good. It is a cultural and natural resource accessible to all members of the society. These resources are held in common for us by government, not privately owned. The commons has the tangible aspect of the private trust.
The thing is, I want a comparison between this and this. So we'd say this costs maybe, you said, 89 cents or $1, something like that, and this is significantly less. Well, now we're going to think about just how much less this is compared to this.
So that $1.75 can purchase 20 ounces of bottled water or 680 gallons of tap water. Another way to look at it is if you could take that bottled water, that 20-ounce bottle, and you could fill it 4,350 times for $1.75. But the environmental costs are also huge. In this country, we collectively, Americans, 9.1 billion gallons of bottled water every year. It's a lot of bottles. And it takes, in order to make the bottles for that bottled water, it takes 17 million barrels of crude oil. You'll see this sheet. There's a small bottle, a dark bottle. That represents the crude oil that it takes to make one water bottle. So it takes crude oil, plus it takes water in the process of making the bottle. It takes 17 million barrels of crude oil a year just to make the bottles for the bottled water. It also takes water, extra water. You're not just using the water that's in the bottle, it takes water in the process of making the bottle. So it takes crude oil plus water to equal water. So it's a very heavy environmental cost, a very heavy energy cost. We're going to take a little turn now from talking about bottled water to the other alternative, and that is tap water.
We have a city water supply with the Monroe County Water Authority. If you go on the Monroe County Water Authority website, you'll see a map of what part of Rochester has its water come from what source. But we do know that both the city and the county has been approached to privatize water. So far they have resisted it. And in Buffalo, their water was privatized by Veolia several years ago. And their rates are three times that of the city of Rochester and almost 4 times that of the Monroe County Water Authority, which is pretty high. The system needs to be maintained and it's inadequate. And what happens is a cash-strapped municipality decides we can't afford to repair the system. So you have a choice. You can have taxpayers pass a bond referendum or a private company that says, hey, I can do it real cheap, or a lot cheaper for you than you can do in raising your taxes, so they come in and take over the water.
Wayne talked about the danger of privatization. That it's been happening in the United States. It could happen here. We've seen cities try to take back the tap once it's been privatized. A very difficult task. What we'd like to see is our city give a commitment to public water, to maintaining a public water system that's affordable, it's public, it's accessible to all, to make a commitment to that. And so that we don't have to go down that road of privatization and then try to step back from it. So that is where this concept of blue communities comes in. And I will let Doris just give you a very brief sense as to what the blue communities is.
Hi, as Kate said, my name is Doris, and I wanted to talk with you and share with you what blue communities are. And it's something that cities in Canada have done. And really, blue communities is basically has three essential components. And they recognize water as a human right for all to be able to have and for it to be protected, and to promote publicly financed and owned and operated water and wastewater services. The other component of that, the third one, is banning the sale of bottled water in public facilities and at municipal events. And we really wanted to get a sense today to see if this is something that we have interest in our community for. Are we interested in having Rochester come together as a community and consider having Rochester be a blue community here? We wanted to open up that discussion and also find out if there are any questions and so forth.